You stand in front of the egg case at the store on a Thursday morning, and you cannot quite believe the little paper sign. $4, $5, $6 for the dozen, and the shelf half empty at that, and a note taped to the cooler that says 2 cartons to a customer. You remember when a dozen eggs was the cheapest good food in the whole store, the thing you always had, and now you are counting them like coins. And it is not only the price. It is January, and the hens that used to lay all summer have all but stopped, the light gone short and the cold come in, and the very time you want a warm breakfast, most is the very time there are the fewest eggs to be had. So you pay the $6, and you carry the carton home careful as glass, and you know that come next week, you will do it all again. Now I want you to sit with this. A good hen lays you 250 eggs in a year, and nearly all of them come in the warm months, in a great glad rush from spring to fall, far more than any family can eat while they are fresh. And then in winter she nearly stops. For as long as there have been farms, there has been this one simple trouble: too many eggs in June, and hardly any in January. And for just as long, there has been a quiet answer to it. You can take the June eggs at the very peak of the laying, and you can keep them good and whole and fresh for a full year, right through the dark of winter, in a crock in a cool corner for pennies, with a thing you can still buy today. No refrigerator, no freezer, no power at all. My name is Sadie Lapp. I am Amish, and I have kept a pantry in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, for more than 30 years. My grandmother kept a tall brown crock of eggs on the low shelf right beside the cellar stairs, and I can see it yet. The eggs resting down under the clear water like stones in a creek bed, and all through the winter she would reach in of a morning and lift one out for the pan, and I never once saw her buy an egg in the cold months of the year. She called it putting the eggs down, and her mother called it the same. And today I am going to show you exactly how it is done. Today I am going to tell you plainly how to keep a whole year of eggs with no refrigerator, using the old water glass method. I am going to tell you what water glass is and what it does to an egg, which eggs will keep this way, and which ones will spoil on you, the honest mistakes that ruin a whole crock. A few words of safety. I will not skip because I am a mother, and I will not skip them. And why a country that pays $6 a dozen in a shortage has somehow forgotten a method that kept its grandmothers in eggs all winter long. Before I go further, for the folks who want all of this, every method I keep in my own pantry, and the ones I will not get to today, all in one place, I have put it together in a book called The Amish Pantry at my website, sadielapp.com. I will not push it again in the video. If you want it, it is there. Now let me tell you plainly what water glass even is, because the name sounds like something out of a chemist's shop, and it is really the simplest thing. Water glass is sodium silicate. It is a clear, thick, syrupy liquid, and you can still buy a quart of it today for a few dollars, and that 1 quart mixed with water will put down more eggs than most families eat in a season. You stir it into cooled, boiled water. You lower your eggs down into it, and it does one quiet thing, and the whole marvel of the method rests on that one thing. Now let me tell you what that one thing is. A fresh egg, straight from under the hen, comes wearing an invisible coat. The hen lays down a natural seal over the whole shell as the egg is laid, and the old folks call it the bloom. And that bloom is the egg's own protection against the air and against the little bits of spoiling that ride upon the air. The trouble is the bloom is delicate, and it wears away, and once it is gone, the shell is full of thousands of tiny pores standing open, and through those pores the moisture creeps out, and the air creeps in, and the egg goes stale, and then it goes bad. The water glass seals those pores. It fills them and closes them and lays a smooth glass-like coat over the whole shell, so the air can never get in and the moisture can never get out. The egg is put to sleep, sealed away from the very things that would spoil it, and it waits for you good and whole for a year and more. That is the whole of it. You are only doing for the egg on purpose what the hen did for a few days by herself. Now let me tell you what a full crock really gives you, because it is far more than a few eggs for the pan. It carries you through the whole winter of cooking. It carries the Saturday baking, the cakes and the cookies and the sweet breads that a cold month calls for. It carries the noodles rolled out and cut on the kitchen table, the custards, the puddings, the batter for the griddle of a Sunday morning. It carries a warm breakfast on the darkest, shortest day of the year, when the hens have given you nothing and the store shelf stands bare. One good crock, put down in the June flush when the eggs are more than any family can eat, will hand you eggs at Christmas, and eggs in February, and eggs clear on until the hens wake and begin to lay again in the spring. You are not only saving money, though you are saving a good deal of it. You are taking the great glad rush of summer and spreading it out, even and steady, across the lean months, the way the squirrel buries the acorn, the way our grandmothers always did. A full crock in a cold cellar is a quiet kind of wealth, and it costs you almost nothing. And I will tell you plainly, this is no new fashion and no clever thing somebody dreamed up to sell you. Water glass has been keeping eggs since our great-grandmother's day and long before, written down in the old household books more than 100 years back, used in farmhouse kitchens all across this country before a single home had an electric box to keep a thing cold. The chemistry of it does not change, and it does not negotiate. A sealed shell keeps the air out, whether it is 1890 or this very winter. The method never stopped working. We only stopped using it. Now let me tell you which eggs will keep this way, because here is where most folks go wrong before they even begin, and I do not want you to lose a crock. It keeps fresh eggs, gathered within a few days of the laying, and no older. It keeps clean eggs, the ones that came out clean from a tidy nest. It keeps unwashed eggs, and this is the heart of it. Eggs that still have their bloom on them, never scrubbed, never rinsed. It keeps whole eggs only, sound ones with not the faintest crack or thin spot in the shell. And it keeps the eggs of your own hens or a neighbor's hens, farm eggs straight from the coop. Now let me be honest about the honest limits, because I will not let you think this is magic and send you off to spoil a winter's eggs. This will not work on the eggs from the store. The eggs in that $6 carton have already been washed, and washing scrubs the bloom clean off, and a washed egg has no coat left to seal. And worse, they have been kept cold, and a cold egg put down in water glass at room warmth will sweat and let trouble in. So store eggs are out. This will not save an old egg either. If the egg was already 2 weeks along when you put it down, it will not come back fresh, for you are only holding an egg where it is, not turning back the clock. And I will tell you plainly, after many months down in the crock, the whites of the eggs go a little thinner and a little looser than a new laid egg. So these are your eggs for baking and scrambling and frying and boiling, your everyday cooking eggs, and not the ones I would choose to poach pretty for company. That is the honest truth of it, and honest is more useful than impressive. Now let me give you a few words of safety plainly, because I will not skip them. You put down only clean, sound, fresh eggs, for a dirty egg or a cracked one will spoil and can foul the whole crock around it. When you go to use an egg, you take it out and you set it in a bowl of plain water, and a good egg sinks and lies on its side, and an egg that floats up you throw away without another thought. Every time, no exceptions. You rinse the water glass off, and you crack each egg into a small separate cup before it ever goes near your pan or your bowl, so that if one is off, you have lost one egg and not your whole breakfast. And you cook these eggs through, well done, not runny, the way you would want to with any egg you had kept a good while. Do those few things and you are safe as houses. Now, a quick word on what to buy, for there are 2 old ways to do this, and either one will serve you well. The first is water glass, the sodium silicate I have spoken of, sold as a clear syrupy liquid, and it is my own preference, for it goes in clear, and you can see your eggs resting down through it all winter. The second is pickling lime, which is calcium hydroxide, a white powder you may already keep for your cucumbers, and you stir a good tablespoon or 2 into each quart of cooled water until the water will take no more and settles a little cloudy. Both of them seal the shell, both keep the eggs a year, and both cost only a few dollars for far more than you will ever use in a season. Buy whichever your feed store or your hardware carries. Do not buy anything fancier, and do not let a soul sell you a special powder at 3 times the price, for the old plain materials are the very ones that work. Now let me show you exactly how I do it in my own kitchen, so you can do the same in yours. You take a clean crock or a wide glass jar or a food-grade bucket with a lid, whatever will hold what you mean to put down. You boil your water first and let it go all the way. Cool, because boiling drives off what is in the water that you do not want, and cool it must be so as not to shock the eggs. Then you mix your water glass, 1 part of it to 10 parts of the cooled water, and you stir it well until it is clouded and even all through. You pour a good bit into the bottom of your crock. Then you gather your eggs, fresh from the nest, unwashed. And if one has a bit of straw or dirt, you wipe it dry with a cloth, gently, never wet so as not to take the bloom. You lower each egg in, pointed end down, and settle them close, but not cracking one against another, layer upon layer, and you pour more of the mix over as you go, until the top eggs are covered by a good inch or 2 of the liquid with none poking out into the air. You lay a lid or a plate over the top, loose, just to keep the dust and the light out, and you carry the crock down to the coolest, darkest corner you have, a cellar, a cool pantry, an unheated back room, and then, and this is the hard part for a busy woman, you leave it be. You mark the date on it. You do not stir it. You do not fuss it. You simply go and reach in for eggs all winter, and you take from the oldest crock first, and you rinse each egg as it comes out, and you let the rest keep sleeping. A crock put down in June will still be handing you good eggs the following spring. A few small things I have learned across the years and will pass along to you. Use a crock you can cover but never seal down tight, for a little air resting above the liquid does no harm, only above it, never around the eggs themselves. If you find after the first week that the level has settled and an egg or two has peeked up into the air, do not fret. Simply mix a little more and pour it over until they are covered again. Keep the crock down low and out of the way, where a child or a cat cannot knock it over. And do not crowd a whole year of eggs into one great crock you can barely lift. I keep 2 or 3 smaller ones instead, so that I may open the one and leave the others sealed and undisturbed, and so that a single bad egg, if ever there is one, can trouble only the little crock and never the whole winter's worth. Now I want to take a moment, because this is the part that matters most. You may be wondering why, if a few dollars of water glass can keep a year of eggs, nobody taught you this while you were paying $6 a dozen in a shortage. And I will not tell you there is a villain in it. Some man in an office hiding the crock from your eyes. It is simpler than that, and almost worse. There is no money in a crock of eggs sitting quiet in your cellar. There is enormous money in a carton you buy again every single week, and a shortage that lets them charge you double, and a headline that sends you running to the store afraid. An egg you put down yourself in June cannot pay a grocer or fund an advertisement. A quart of water glass lasts you years and sells no more. So nobody runs a commercial for it, and nobody puts it on the front of the carton, and a whole country forgets that keeping its own eggs was ever a thing a plain woman could do in her own cellar. That is not a conspiracy. It is just how the money flows. The Lord gives the hen her laying season. We are only asked to keep what she gives, and the keeping was never the hard part. The forgetting was. So here is what I want you to do this week. If you keep hens, gather 2 dozen of your freshest, cleanest eggs and do not wash them. And if you do not keep hens, go and find a neighbor or a stand down the road that sells farm eggs, unwashed, and ask them plainly for the fresh ones. Buy 1 small jar of water glass, mix your crock, and put down just those 2 dozen to start. That is all. Start with 2 dozen and see for yourself, come February, that they fry up like morning. And then tell me down in the comments below what a dozen eggs is costing you where you live right now. For I read them all, and I am always struck by how different it is from one place to the next. And once you have put your first crock down, come back when the snow is deep and tell me how they cooked up. The stories you all share teach the new folks far more than I ever could, and I read every last one of them. Next time, since we have kept the eggs, I am going to show you how I keep butter and cheese all through the winter without a refrigerator. the way my mother put up the dairy when the cow gave more than we could use. It is the natural next step after today. Until then, gather them fresh, put them down gently, keep them cool, and let the old crock do the work the $6 carton has been charging you for all these years.